I want to switch gears. I've been dying to talk about this stuff now. Of course, I'm the Batman statue collector, so I collect Batman statues. And I want to know a little bit about your relationship with Prime One. How did that first come about? And what's that process like going from the 2D to the 3D? How much are you involved in all of that?
Yeah, I think all of it kind of came about. I was on one of the Prime One collector groups on Facebook, and I was loving seeing some of the stuff that people were posting of the different statues. And Jeff Johns had actually sent me a statue right when we were starting Three Jokers. I have the Batman Arkham Origins, I think is what it is. It's over there in the corner. Mm-hmm. But he had sent because he was getting all these products, because at the time he was like, I don't know, he was whatever his job description was at DC. He was like, had to okay every product that came in. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I got like a office full of stuff. So he was sending me these things, and so he sent me a Prime One statue, and I was like, wow, like this is crazy. And so I was on the Prime One group, and I was commenting on stuff, and then all of a sudden they contacted me. They messaged me and they said, "Hey, we see that you're a collector and that you're into this stuff." And so they said, let's work on some designs. And so we started. You know what? That might have been even back when I was right after Justice League. I don't know. It was quite a while ago. Because the first original statues that we had designed were actually Justice League statues.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So we had done, so essentially they wanted a Batman, a Wonder Woman, and a Superman. And so I had designed these Justice League statues so that they would all kind of fit together as like a Trinity piece, with the bases would kind of interconnect and they would look like a battle scene, but each one was kind of like Batman was kind of Batman specific, and Wonder Woman had some Themyscira kind of stuff, but it was like rubble and all this kind of thing. And that was like the first take, and they were like, oh, we don't, maybe we want something that was a little more like the bases would connect more to the characters. And so there was a Superman one where they wanted it connected with Brainiac, and so I had like Superman flying, kind of hovering over, very similar to that you had mentioned, that World's Finest cover. It was very similar to that pose, a little more aggressive. And then there was like a Brainiac ship was underneath them, and there was like this arm of like a Brainiac thing, and Superman was going to be like holding one of the robots, or you could put it in his arm. But then Sideshow or something put out a statue, like announced one right after that. It was pretty much the same idea, and we were like, So that one would have been a really cool statue. And so that was scrapped. And then the Wonder Woman one I had originally was kind of like her standing over like it was like a dead griffin creature, and it would have these wings that kind of were wrapping up around her and everything. And so, and then the Batman one was always kind of the same, like the Detective 1000. It was kind of very similar. It was like Batman standing on a building, but I had designed it so that the building from above, if you looked down at the base, it would make a Batman logo. So it was very hard to like design a building atop of a building to actually look like a Batman logo. Mm-hmm. Like it was very hard to design that. But so those were kind of the original ones, and then they had come back after a while, and we did the Grail statue as well, which they made, but then I kind of, at that point, I was like, not many people are going to know who this character is.
She's right here. I have her up on the screen here.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool statue, but like she's I wondered if it wouldn't get that much attention, because she was a very new character, and I think if they're probably going to hold on to it, and if she ever comes out in a movie or something, then they'll put it out. But that was the first one we actually ever designed, and I wish they would even just send me like the prototype, because it's pretty cool.
And a lot of people were really disappointed, because I mean, obviously it's a very beautiful statue, but I understand like maybe people didn't really, she's so new that people didn't connect to her. But I hope you're right, because I hope they don't scrap her completely, because it's a really great sculpt and really great portraits, as you can see. Really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a cool piece, and I think, I think if one day down the line, maybe if they put her in a movie or something, and she starts getting some fame, then they'll probably bring it back out. But we had done that, and then they were kind of like so we had these designs, and they were even, I was getting back like 3D sculpts from the modelers for these three Justice League kind of statues, and then they decided to kind of scrap that, and they said, we want to do something where they're like, we want to do something different, because everybody's kind of, we've done so many of these like single character statues, so they said we want to do like battle scenes. And at the time I was kind of like knee deep in three Jokers, and I didn't have much time to like devote to like coming up with 3D turnarounds. And so I think I had even just, we had even just talked really quickly, like, what if it's this? Like, what if it's like Superman? They wanted Doomsday. It's like, what if it's Superman versus Doomsday, and what if it's Wonder Woman versus like a Hydra or something like that? And so, and then it was going to be Batman versus like the Batman Who Laughs. And I was like, well, I haven't never, I've drawn the Batman Who Laughs like once. And I was like, it's not really my thing. And I said, what about Batman versus Joker? And so that's where that statue kind of came from. And I literally, like, on a really like quick, I just did like a quick, super fast drawing. It looked pretty much like that view right there of just kind of what I was thinking. And they just went with it, and they just made this thing. I was like, it's incredible. Like, just from a super quick sketch, but they captured. The only thing that was different on my sketch is I wanted somehow have it so that playing cards were flowing out of Joker's jacket, and
Oh, that'd be
so
cool.
they would like kind of. It's almost too bad you couldn't like do it so that they could just connect on magnets or something like that, and so you could have them like on Batman's leg, and kind of coming up, so it looks like gives you the sense of motion. But it probably would have been just a pain in the butt to do. But that was just like a simple sketch I did for that one. And same with the Wonder Woman and the Superman versus Doomsday. Like, the models were already made, because they were already sculpting the original design, so they just kind of took the design and reposed it. And
Wow.
like the armor and everything I had designed for this Wonder Woman is kind of like an original take, where I really wanted all these feathers and stuff like that to like be running down through the breastplate and everything like that. And so yeah, it was kind of neat. And because they kind of wanted something that was like that next to like the movie kind of design and my original Justice League kind of Wonder Woman. So that one's really cool. I love how that one turned out. And so yeah, then so sometimes with them it's like, I'm gonna hand you a bunch of sketches and we're gonna do 3D turnarounds. Other times it's like they're just like, give us a quick like 1 minute sketch and we'll do it. And that's kind of how it was with that Joker and being kicked into the thing and into the vat of acid. And then like for things like the Batman, the Grim Knight Batman that's behind me over there. It's like they based it essentially just off the cover, and so they were like, they kind of came to me and they're like, we want to use we want permission to use your name and stuff, like, and tie this into like this line or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, sure, like, that's really cool. But I didn't like do any designs. They pretty much just took the cover and did it, like, and I was like blown away by that. I was like, wow, like, that's really cool. And same with like the Dark Knight's Metal line. Like, a lot of the different statues of those characters are all based off of the covers that I did. And so they kind of just, they were like, we would just like your permission to kind of to promote it, like kind of tying it in with your name and stuff. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then what was the other one we did? Oh, the Penguin one. That one again was based off of a cover that I did for one of those 3D lenticular villains covers.
Yes, of course.
And so they were like, we want to do this. But then they came, like, the cool thing with this is they were like, we want to do like a Batman piece that like kind of will stand above him or be like over top of him. And I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, how tall is this thing going to be? So yeah,
43 inches, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. So, and then like, again, like that was like, I had done like a commission for a guy, and it was this kind of very similar pose. And I was like, just do this. Like, this is a cool pose. And so they took it, they changed the arm a little bit. Like in the commission, he's like holding a battering on his lower arm, but they have him like grabbing the rooftop. Yeah, and then I kind of did like, they were like, well, we want a different costume. And so I just I kind of did a really quick layout of like a design, like it's kind of similar to his new 52 design, but I kind of added a little bit of detail and just said, let the sculptor go nuts. If he wants to put some things in there, put more detail or whatever, just go for it. And then I did the heads of the penguin too. It was like they wanted, like, I suggested like, well, what if you can switch out the heads to like different eras? Like, it would be cool to do like the middle one's kind of like Brian Bolland from that one shot Batman story that he did. I forget where it appeared, but it was at the back. It's always at the back of Killing Joke. And he's got a great definitive penguin. So I was like, let's do the Brian Bolland head. And then I said, like, let's do something kind of like Danny DeVito, because that's how he appears in the comics sometimes that way too. They always want everything, like, if you're not doing movie stuff, they want it tied in with something from the comics. So some guys have drawn the Danny DeVito style penguin, so it's like that kind of can fit with that as well.
And Prime One threw everybody a big bone because I collect the Arkham line. You said you have one of the Arkham pieces. I actually had the whole Arkham line, and I sold most of them, and I just started over here, putting them all back together. I've got Freeze, and I've got Scarecrow, and Killer Croc, and I've got like Azrael over there, and I've just purchased Two-Face and Batman back this week, and so I'm kind of getting that collection back. And they never did a penguin, and people were all really upset, and so they are doing that Arkham penguin head too, that kind of that fourth bonus, which is really cool. Did you have input on those as well, or were they just their artists did what they did?
Yeah, their artists just did what they did. I kind of like with the paint, like I didn't know about them doing the Arkham head. I think that's really cool that they did that. I'd seen it online when they announced it, and I thought, that's a great little bit of fan service, to make the fans happy and the collectors happy, because they know their audience. They know what you guys want. And so with the penguin too, it was like, well, like he's not like when they first said like they were going to do a penguin statue, it was like penguin, like, I don't know, he's not as dynamic as like Joker or Mr. Freeze. It's like, how do you make this statue something and he's small too, like, so how do you make the statue something that's going to feel like it's worth that price tag and worth putting on your shelf? And so I had they had sent me the 3D renders of what they had, and so I kind of did some quick sketches of like, well, what if he's holding like his umbrella, like this, like a gun, and then what if he's got like a vulture on his arm, and so we kind of, it was, I sometimes I don't know what's possible for them too. Like they never really tell me like, oh, this is not possible. They just say like, come up with some idea. And so like I'll come up with the idea, and then I think, well, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. Like I don't know how, like, this, like the thing that blows me away is how, like, even that Detective Comics 1000 statue, that thing is so heavy. And the fact that thing is being held onto that base just with some magnets, and the way they, like, the engineering and what they have to do to like run metal poles up and down probably through that body.
It's all that chimney too. That chimney is that support on the back, I think.
Yeah. So it's crazy, like the amount of engineering that they have to do. I would love to, like, it would be cool if they did some sort of a thing where they actually went behind the scenes and kind of showed some of that thought process that goes behind something like that, because I'm very interested to see like how they even, I'm sure they're using molds and stuff, but like how do they run the metal through the mold so that everything connects, and the magnets, and You know, they're great statues, and they're really well thought out, and I wonder how many prototypes they break too as they're testing them.
Yeah.
You know,
I bet quite a few, but I think they've gotten so good at this point. You know, just the engineering, all these statue companies, they clearly, I mean, they push the boundaries of what they were able, because they all used to be museum poses, and now they're so dynamic. And Prime One, especially, I mean, I've probably had 30 Prime One statues, and you know, they just all continue to get better, and the bases continue to get more dynamic and bigger and heavier in a lot of cases, like you said. But I want to transition into talking about Detective Comics 1000. Obviously, one of you know, the most iconic, in my opinion, images of Batman in a very long time. Obviously, this great cover, and that did inspire a statue. And Dan, I know you have a question to ask, and I think Jason's going to give us maybe a little tour of the statue here.
Yeah, so we've kind of heard in the groups, and I think from you yourself, Jason, that you got the statue in hand. So we're all dying to know what you think about it. You've given us fantastic insights into your art. Do you feel like the statue kind of got it? You know, does it convey kind of, you mentioned how, you know, you love when the artwork conveys a certain feeling. Does the statue get that done? And yeah, we'd love to just hear what you think about how it came out.
Yeah, if I can, let me see if I can, because I have to set up my statue in another side of my house here, but I don't know if I can. Can I flip my camera? No.
Let's see.
I don't know if I can flip my camera when I'm on here, but so like this is, if I can get it. So I have it here.
There we go.
I have it here on this, on like a. We got the boxes in, and I was like, where do I even put this thing? I wanted to put it in my office, like right next to the other statue, but the cape is so high that it wouldn't fit in my little shelf area there. So we had to kind of just.
That's been everybody's problem.
Yeah, he's massive.
So like this, it turned out really, really well. It's hard to film where I'm like holding it like this, but yeah, like the face sculpt and everything like that just looks incredible. The way that the smoke wraps around this base is really blew my mind, because it's like just held on with a magnet over here, you know, and it's coming up, and you got these little bats, and it's a really cool piece. The thing I would love to do with this is actually have it, like, if I had like a place where it could be actually sitting up higher, it would look really cool, because then like you'd get that sense of like it looking, you're kind of looking up at it, right? So, but like I'm blown away by the cape and just how big that cape is, and like the boxes too that it comes in, like these like I couldn't believe how giant these boxes are. You know, like they're huge, like they just like you know, like when they showed up, I was like, it's 2 boxes. Are you kidding me?
Jason, you should see my storage unit.
Yeah,
it takes up the whole place.
You could stack the boxes and put the statue on top of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so I think it turned out really well. You know, there's always things I think I would change on anything that's like a piece of artwork of mine, you know, like but the thing with this is, it's like, you gotta kind of just like, you give your 2 cents, and then you gotta let them kind of handle it and figure it out, and let the sculptor do his job. And you don't want to be too picky and nitpick everything. And so, but I think it turned out great, and I think it's you know, it really just kind of captures the look of that cover, and just has a great shelf presence. And you know, I'm really happy. I always I come downstairs here, gonna go into my office. I always stop and look at it, 'cause it's like, whoa, that's really cool.
It's kind of an engineering feat how they got that cape.
I think we're all guilty of doing that once.
Like that. It's amazing how they pull that off.
Yeah. It feels like it might be semi-hollow in some areas, so that it doesn't have so much weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Again, like I don't really know. Like this is all the body and the cape is all one giant piece, and then the head, you know, you snap the head on. But the body and the cape all came in like the biggest box. It was like,
that's crazy.
Oh my God!
My
The
wife had
cape
to
is attached.
Yes, the
to it.
cape and the body is all one giant piece, and it came in this giant box here. And
Wow.
I had to have
Damn.
my wife, like my wife had to help me like actually like pick it up and put it on top of this. And I was like so terrified, you know, it was gonna break or something. But it's I mean it's solid and yeah, so like it just this thing weighs so much, but it's awesome. It's just one of those.
Yeah.
It's really cool to like see that come to life, and you know, where am I? There I am.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. Personally, I think they're doing a great job of capturing your artwork.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
you know, like there's the what do you call it? The
Grim Knight?
Grim Knight, which was the first one that actually came. Like I had 2 of these arrive in like 1 week, so it was like whoa, you know. But this one turned out really great as well, and you know, just a really cool piece.
Did they send you the regular? Or did they send you the one with the multiple portraits?
They sent me the multiple portraits.
Nice.
So the DX or whatever versions
Yes.
of them.
Yes.
Like I have you can see down here, I have I thought this was really cool how it's like a little bust.
Awesome.
And so like you can kind of put the extra heads on there, and it makes for like a really neat little, you know, I think that's such a cool idea, and it allows, you know, I know they did that with the Jim Lee Batman, because I saw that at a store the other day, and I thought, wow, that looks really nice just even as a bust. It looks great. You know?
Well, it also, the great thing about Prime 1 is, and I'm a major Prime 1 fan clearly, but I love the fact that you can take those different head sculpts and give it a different new look, where, you know, if you've had it for a while and you want to give it some, you know, give it a new flavor, you can switch it out with a different portrait, or, you know, he's looking to the left, or even the, you know, the chest portrait. Obviously the one that you have on display is accurate to your cover, but to be able to display it with a different chest emblem, or, you know, whatever, or a grapple gun or whatever, you know, it might be. I just always appreciate Prime 1 and taking the time to offer those little busts, like, because you can display them right beside your statue if you want, which is great.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
The fact that they would give you these, like, these are already pretty expensive statues, and the fact that they give you like you said, extra heads. Like this one came with like I think 4 heads, the detective one, and so like you can, so depending on where you display that, it gives you like a different set, like a different pose. Like I've even thought like that would look really cool, like more on its side, and then him like kind of looking up, like off to the side, but like because you get a different kind of view if you turn that statue like looking at profile. Like it's like a different kind of takes on a different pose and everything, and like they have it kind of like that on the side of one of the boxes, and it's like, wow, like if you had the space where you could do that and put it in a different kind of pose, like the cape, that's the only thing, the cape is so big, it kind of limits where you're going to be able to put it, but I love the fact that they do stuff like that. It's a really cool you know, little touch that I think that they makes their statues stand out. I don't know if other statue companies do that, where they give you different portraits. And
there are some, but usually Prime 1 gives you the most.
Yeah,
not
you're lucky
always.
Sometimes you get 1.
Yeah, usually 1 or maybe 2, but Prime 1's done a really good job of of giving you and I like the fact that they give you the option of whether you want the deluxe or if you want to spend a little bit less and just get the 1 portrait, which I think is nice too. I always go for the DX if I can. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but I just always appreciate being able to swap out things. So like for me, I'm getting your Fabok 1000, Detective Comics 1000. I'm getting that one. I'm getting the Batman versus Joker, the big diorama. And I'm also getting the Penguin and also the Batman on the tower. So all those pieces are coming in, and I can't wait. And just seeing it on your display, I have to get a bat signed by you. That's going to be my mission. I have to get a bat signed by you to go on that statue to match my Jim Lee one. That'd be pretty awesome. So
awesome.
Anyway, Jeff, I did kind of steal your question. I realized about the Penguin heads, so I think we're going to.
So you can skip.
I think we're going to skip.
We covered it.
Yeah, we'll skip and go right to Eric.
All right, what are we up to? All right, yeah, going back to Prime 1. Okay. What statues would you like to see Prime 1 make of your art in the future?
Yeah, well, you mentioned that World's Finest cover.
Yeah.
I had pitched
Put that
that.
bug out there.
Yeah, I had pitched that, but I haven't. They wanted me to do some changes to it just because they didn't want it to look exactly like I don't know if they're having trouble now with exact takes on covers, but they wanted me to kind of do a different change like maybe a little bit of the angle or the heads or something like that. But I just haven't had the time to just sit down and do that. But I would love to see that as like a 2-piece. You get the Superman and then you get the Batman, and they kind of connect. But it could also, I like how they always design everything so it could stand alone. By the way, if my mic dies, it's because my headphones just told me that the battery's low, so I'll have to just switch out Bluetooth and go onto the. So if I do that, wave at me or whatever, if I'm all of a sudden not.
Okay, no problem.
So you're currently still working on future pieces with Prime One at the moment. So
yes and no. I mean, I handed in a design maybe a couple months ago for something that I don't know if it'll. Again, sometimes you design things and then sometimes they'll make it. Like for example, I pitched doing a 3 Jokers statue. Where it would be it's the 3 Jokers, and the bases would kind of again all interconnect, but they had each Joker was standing there in a scene that was ties into the book. But the problem is, and again, it runs with that statue there. For some reason, DCE does not want characters with guns.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So how can you do so I wanted to have Joker with a Tommy gun because he has a Tommy gun in the book. Well, then you can't do that. How do you do a Red Hood if he can't be holding 2 pistols? It kind of affects so much of what you can do with the design. And so it's kind of disheartening.
Well, I know so many of the statue companies. I talk to a lot of the owners, on a daily basis, and just the fact that they are so frustrated because, you see them in the comics, you see them in kids' toys.
Yeah.
But yet adult collectors can't have weapons portrayed. I don't understand the thinking at all. I mean, and God bless Warner Brothers. But I just don't understand what their thinking is on that at all.
Yeah, I mean, even that Grim Knight statue at one point. They didn't think it was going to come out, and they had already designed it. They had all the sculpts, and they were it almost didn't go through. And they had asked me if I would write some sort of a thing into Warner Brothers explaining why this statue needs to be made and why it needs to be produced. And I just pretty much said the statue's going to sell. People are going to buy it, and it's direct from the artwork. It's comic accurate. And my wife, when we were putting it together, she was laughing because it's the whole base down there is just filled with machine guns. It's like they almost did it as hey, here's some more guns on here. But,
well, it's crazy on the channel here. When Prime One first unveiled it, they had to have everything blurred out. They weren't allowed to show anything, and even on Sideshow's website. But that week, somebody mysteriously leaked some photos to me of all of the photos with the guns on it. And so, of course, that's what sold it because people wanted to see it with the guns, and that's what makes the character so cool. Batman's iconically a character with no guns, and then to have a character like this with Batman with guns, people are going to be interested.
Yeah, so. Even that Batman kicking the Joker into the acid. I mean, he's got a gun, but if you put the bang on it, the bang flag, then it's fine. But it just I don't know. It's doesn't make.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I've heard even companies in the United States specifically, they're having an even harder time. Whereas, companies overseas have a little bit more leniency. Prime One in some cases, XM, but it's still pretty crazy. It's really, really crazy. Let's see. I think we're ready for Jeff Delaney, I think.
Well, we covered that question, so I'll wing it.
Okay, all right.
Jason, I noticed you've got some pieces behind you there that you did not work on, like the Ghostbusters and some other items there. do you consider yourself a collector of either statues or comics? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So first, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
Okay, because my mic died, so I had to take out my earpieces. So
No problem.
I got my volume on really low, so hopefully there's no feedback.
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
So yeah, I've always been a huge collector. My office looks like a bomb blew up right now because I've been going through here and we've just been kind of cleaning stuff out and clearing things out and just trying to. It was almost getting too overtaken with stuff that I had collected, and I think that's a problem that maybe all of us collectors have. But I've always loved action figures and toys, and always loved seeing something in 2D, and then the thought of having it as a 3-dimensional object, even if it's just a simple toy, is very attractive to me. It always has been. I like being able to do that and just collect. And originally, when I started working at DC, I started buying a lot of the DC figures of characters I had worked on. So if I did a Green Arrow cover, then I went out and I grabbed a Green Arrow figure, and I figured, like, oh, okay, I'll have all the different characters I worked on. And eventually, that I kind of drew them all, and so it's like, well, I can't just keep buying all this stuff. But I love collecting. So I'm a big Lego collector. I love collecting old Lego now that I have some disposable income, it's like I've gone back and collected all the old Lego that I wanted when I was a kid. So a lot of the pirates and castles and 80s and 90s space sets and stuff like that. I kind of went back, and one thing I'm really appreciative of, I'm looking up at the Ninja Turtles stuff, is how Playmates and stuff have been re-releasing remake, kind of redos of the original Ninja Turtle figures from the 90s. So I got the party van that just came out, and those ones are fun because my kids like to play with those ones too, and it's a lot of fun. But I have a lot of old DC stuff and some I have a hot toy collection. I was buying up a lot of the, I don't know which way do I go. I was buying up a lot of the Batman stuff, so I have couple Keaton Batmans and the Ghostbusters. This one here, the Batman 66, was the first hot toy figure I got.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And then I got the Mandalorian over here on this side, and I have let me see, my office is so messy right now, but maybe I can show so I have the 89 Batmobile over there.
Nice.
And some other stuff, a lot of books from different, I used to get all these comps from DC. I still do. They send you everything they publish. And so at first I was like, oh, great, my bookshelf will fill up. And then eventually it's I don't need all these books. I've never looked at them. So I started giving them away to people. Yeah, so I love collecting things. I've always been. The statue thing is something new for me. I'm not somebody who I love statues, but to me, it's always been more of the action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And even the 1/6 figures, I think they're really cool because they just you can pose them and you can kind of change them up and change up the poses, but they look exactly like a miniature actor. They look like the Mandalorian looks exactly like he did in the show. But I think with the statues, like you were saying before, about how they used to kind of be more museum poses and very stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I remember statues when I was younger, when you'd see them in Wizard magazine and stuff. It was always kind of very stiff and not as exciting, but I feel like companies like Prime One and XM Studio, those guys have really changed the game. Now it's they're trying to compete with each other to see who can do the best. Yeah, look at all that stuff. It's incredible. That samurai line, I remember being at New York Comic Con a couple years back, and they had them on display there. and I was just blown away by that line. Incredible work.
Are you exclusive to Prime One, or are you allowed to work with other companies right now?
I could work with whoever I want, really. I'm not exclusive to Prime One, no. I mean, XM has asked me if I could do some stuff with them, but it's like I don't want to step on Prime One's toes right now. But I would love to work with those guys. Like, those guys are super nice guys too. Like, they introduced themselves to me at that New York Con, and you know, I would love to do something with them, do a set of statues with them, but it's like, you know, I don't want to kind of rub Prime One the wrong way either.
Sure,
But maybe eventually I'll be able to do that with them, or maybe with like the creator-owned stuff that we're doing. It would be like we already have plans to kind of do some different merchandise, so if maybe one of those companies would like to join up with us to do some cool. We feel like we got some pretty cool designs that people will really dig. So
that's awesome. Well, Sang is so awesome, like you said, at XM, and of course Johnny is phenomenal at Prime One. Just great guys that are super talented and have just such an eye. And what I love most, and what I think sets them apart, is their willingness and their wanting to work with the actual artists, which I think is brilliant. Because I mean, I understand that some companies want their own take, and that's great. But at the same time, like, I love to say, hey, I own this Fabok Batman, or I own this Jim Lee Batman. And it's like, I love that. And like you said, to be able to pair the art, and I know Dan loves to do this as well, and to pair the actual art with the 3D. And like, there's nothing better than that. I just love that.
I think, yeah, to me, it's a massive sign of respect to come to the artist and say, hey, even if I didn't, even like when I don't necessarily sit down and design something, it's just really cool that they come to you and they go, hey, we want to do a statue based off of this cover that you did, or this piece of artwork. You know, how do you feel about that? And it's like, yeah, for sure. Like, that sounds great. Just send me one. You know, I would love to have one for my collection. And it's like, you know, I think that, you know, again, Prime One, I love how they do those little like showcase things, and they kind of get the artists involved, like Libra Mayo, and you know, I don't know, they show so much respect to the artist, and it really makes you feel appreciated, and because, you know, like they don't have to do that. Like, if they want to create a Batman statue based on your art, they don't need to come to you. Like, they get the permission from DC, and off they go. And DC, a lot of times, they'll take your artwork and they'll slap it on a T-shirt or on merchandise, and they have every right to do that because it's their artwork and they can do it. But it's nice that like a company like Prime One comes forward to you and actually wants to collaborate with you on that. DC Direct was like that too. They would, because they were in-house, you know, if they were doing a series of figures based on something that you had drawn, they would get in contact with you and they would want to talk to you. And I remember going down for like studio tours and seeing all the cool things they were working on. And, you know, they showed a lot of respect to the artists. And I really think that that's something that is special. And I'm really appreciative of Prime One for doing that. They, you know, they don't have, like I said, they don't have to, but the fact that they do really means a lot to me, and I'm sure to all the other artists who are involved with this and the other creators as well.
Yeah. So are they just coming to you and asking you permission for your artwork, or are they asking for, like, when you have to, you know, turn it from 2D to 3D, asking you to draw like different angles of it, like going around, stuff like that, or no?
Yeah, it depends on what the project is. Like, sometimes they'll say, hey, we kind of already have like a pose in mind for this, but would you give us a turnaround of like a character design? You know, for example, like we want to do this character, but we want you to do a different take on it. Can you give us a different costume design or a different take on this character? And so I'll spend the time and I'll do that. And then I send it to them. And if they want to use it, that's great. If they don't want to use it, that's great too. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to them. They're making the creative decision that they believe is going to be best to sell that product, because after all, they are a business and they
Mhm.
need to sell that product. And so if it fits with them and they believe that what I can give them is going to sell that product, that's great. But if I give them something and they don't love it, then it doesn't hurt my feelings either, because I'm the same way. It's like I want them to be able to make the best product so that they can make the sale, because it supports, you know, all the modelers, it supports all the people who work in the company altogether. So that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, sometimes it's very detailed, sometimes it's just very simple drawings, and they bring in such good sculptors that you can do a simple, quick drawing and hand them, like, sometimes what I'll do is I'll, like, for the Batman, like the Detective 1000, I like gave them a whole bunch of like snapshots of different Batman faces I've drawn in the books, and like I did like a front and a back view of the face, like this is what he looks like, but here's a bunch of drawings I've done. So see if you can kind of merge all, and I mean that when they originally sent me that sculpt back, I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks exactly like the drawing. Like I even think they took that Batman cover from Three Jokers, the Batman face, and even just used that as reference, because they nailed it. And you know, and once they kind of get that sculpt right, then they can kind of, I think they can, I'm not really sure how they do this, but I think they can take that sculpt and actually like pose it in a way and get a different kind of pose out of that, you know, out of that sculpt. So yeah,
it's incredible to see what they're able to do, and you know, headed up by Wanda and their entire team there. Just incredible talent that they have, and I just love that they're able to duplicate your work so closely, and it just really is exciting. I love the idea of that Three Jokers. I would love that to happen. I think that would be really epic. And I would love to see them do. I love, you know, you have one of your images of Batman surrounded by all the rogues, and I love the image of Ra's al Ghul in that image, and also Freeze. I would love to see both versions of yours in Prime One form. I think you would be a really good fit for both those characters.
I was going to ask you, are there any statues that you guys would like to see them do that they haven't done, or a specific take on something that you would like to see? I would like to hear some ideas that you guys maybe have.
Well, I could talk about this for an hour.
This could be another night show.
This could be a whole other night. Yeah, I know, because I'm the guy that hears this from the community every single day. I've got people messaging me constantly, and it goes back to what you said about being a business. It comes down to the dollar, because there's so many characters that the companies just will not make. No major company has made a classic Riddler. No major company has made a classic Ra's al Ghul or a Clayface, those type of characters. And I know there are sometimes B or C characters, but just until recently, this Penguin was the first time Penguin's ever been done at a scale like this. There's a Samurai Penguin that XM did, but not a classic Penguin. For whatever reason, the classic characters are the ones that the fans want. Because we obviously, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, those are going to sell. Harley Quinn, going to sell. We get that, but to take the risk, we know that it's a risk. But Prime One has taken risks on characters, like I said. I've got my big Azrael back there. I mean, that is a risk to take on the character like that. But they made him, and they sold a ton, and he sold out. So I think that if Prime One continues to, you know, just elevate themselves to create these characters that people really want, like the classic characters, do another comic book Killer Croc. Who am I forgetting, guys?
Someone in the
Freeze.
chat.
Face.
Yeah, would love to
Man,
see
that.
your Freeze, Jason.
Yeah, your Freeze specifically. I would love to see your version of Freeze. And like I said, a Ra's al Ghul would be incredible. And but no one's ever done them. No one has ever done them. And so you have these missing pieces. And you know, I like to collect a line. I like to have all the characters. My theming is Batman surrounded by his villains. So again, I've got, you know, over there I've got my Batman, you know, and this is just my display right now. It's kind of a work in progress. I'm getting ready to move into another room, but that's my thing. Is I like Batman surrounded by his villains. You know, that's just my thing. But there's these big gaps where there's all these great iconic characters that have been around for 60 years that no company will touch. Especially like everybody knows the Riddler. Riddler is a character that was in this great Batman movie recently, and no one's doing them.
And the first thing that I thought of when we saw the showcase with your Penguin and Batman was this needs to be a line where we can have a Riddler, all the other villains that could go with that Batman that's up above them.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, kind of like a switch out. Like switch
Yeah,
out
I mean,
the
you
villains
could
with
just
Batman.
build the whole thing.
Be awesome.
If it fits though, because Penguin's a smaller character, but Batman, that whole thing I
Yeah.
think was like 43 inches tall, so it might be some room to squeeze some villains
Well,
in.
with Penguin in the front, then you get off to the sides. They can be.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying too
Take
is
a dining room table, no matter what.
yeah, right. It's gonna take up some room, and it's like collectors like me that want to buy every one of them, and will probably. I'll start selling blood if I need to, to make it happen. But I love the idea of a whole bunch of your specific art done by Prime One. I would love to see more. Would love to see more.
Everybody in the comments is loving that 3 Jokers idea
Mhm.
that he mentioned.
And I know there's going to be some people on the other side saying, "Oh, another Joker," but this again it's your Joker. It's not just this Joker over here. It's not a Jim Lee Joker. It's your Joker, and I think that's really exciting. I think it's an awesome idea. Somebody said Fabok's Red Hood. I think that would be really cool.
Mhm.
Or I mean, even your Batgirl. I mean, just like any of these characters, I think they would all be hits because they obviously did all of the Arkham ones, and Arkham had a very specific look, and maybe not everybody likes the video game versions of those. I love them. I thought they were all incredible, but I think most people want specifically the comic book versions of these characters done in this scale. And as you can see, I mean, like you said, you're a figure collector, but like I started out at Hot Toys. That's where I started out. And then I went from Hot Toys to starting to get quarter scale statues from like Sideshow. And then, now I've gotten more 1/3 because 1/3 is my favorite scale. But I want the companies to make these characters that we've been begging for a really long time.
Are there any future statues in Jason's collection that are coming, like bigger statues? Anything else coming your way?
Well, all of the whatever they've I think I don't know the release dates, but I like the Wonder Woman, the Superman Doomsday, unless that one didn't reach. I don't really pay attention to see like if they hit their sales target or whatever.
It's still in production, so
It's
it should be coming still.
So they're basically going to send you one of whatever you're working on with them.
Yeah, so like my wife is dreading this.
Oh, you're in so much trouble, Jason. You're in so much trouble.
Yeah.
That's going to be your Thanksgiving centerpiece.
Yeah,
your holiday.
that's how we all started.
We're at we're at the point where this house, like we bought this house when we first got married, and now we got 3 kids, and it's like we've been looking to move and to kind of get a bigger place. And one of the things that I keep joking about, well, not really joking, but is like I want like a museum wing in my house where I can
you get
put
it.
these
You get it.
statues up on like pillars or something and have them in a really cool collector's room.
Yep.
Like
Why
a lot
not?
of, you guys got some really cool rooms there with like really nice space to like put this stuff. I don't really have too much of that right now, so
You're
would
gonna
love
need
to
it.
be able to do that.
Yeah, you're
You're gonna need it.
If you have
When you
any
get
free,
that Superman, Doomsday, Wonder Woman, and Batman versus Joker, yeah. And maybe Dan can build you some display.
I was just gonna say, so this guy right here, Dan, right below you here. If you ever are bored and have some free time, last week Dan did a room tour, and it's just part 1, and part 2 is coming out next week. It's got all the art behind him and all the incredible artists that he's met. But it's just incredible the way he's displayed it. So maybe that'll give you some inspiration, because again, that's what we all strive for, is a museum type feel, an open air, so everybody can really appreciate the art. Because we are all art collectors is really what we are. We appreciate not only the comic art and the artists behind it, but then also the 3D art and the beautifulness of. I think that's why we are high-end collectors, because we just appreciate the art.
Yeah, I think my dream is that when we move, when we buy a property, is like I would love to build like an outbuilding that's like my office, that's kind of separate from the house.
Mhm.
I'm starting to, now that my kids are getting a little older, it can get really rambunctious and noisy in the house, and so sometimes I find it tough to focus. Now that school's kind of starting and they're back up to school, it's kind of a little quieter. But I would love to have a nice outbuilding that is my studio, but also like has my collection of stuff, you know, nicely displayed even behind glass or something like that. So it's just there with all the really cool lighting and LED lights above things. And you know, one day, you know, we'll see. But I know I got those statues coming. My wife's actually more stressed out about where to put the boxes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's we do the videos on that all the time where we're like, where do you know, I literally have I've got a 3-car garage, and below my 3-car garage is all storage, and it takes up almost the entire room with just my boxes.
Yeah,
It's just insane. So that's definitely a problem that all of us have. But down the road, whenever you finally have your display, we would love to feature it on the channel if you're ever interested. We'd love to have you as a featured collector. How awesome would that be? That'd be really cool.
for sure.
It'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So as we're kind of wrapping up here with our questions, is there anywhere we're going to be able to see you this year, or looking into maybe next year?
Yeah, probably next year. I'm not going to be doing too much more traveling this year. Just working on our new project and trying to figure out a whole bunch of business stuff that's coming with that, and some really unique and interesting ideas. We've been having really cool meetings with a whole bunch of different mediums and different people approaching us about doing partnerships with them about building this thing that we're creating and spreading it out into different merchandise and different spaces for like geek space. And so, you know, there's a lot of that stuff is going on right now, and we'll have some more really exciting news about that hopefully within the next couple of months here. I'm not sure when our book's going to be announced. I'm about halfway through it, and our plan is we kind of want to get the book far enough ahead so that I can kind of treat it like a monthly and have it come out, you know, kind of on a regular basis. And so, you know, we're working on that right now. And you know, with me right now, like I had mentioned, like I got 3 kids, and the thing for me that's really important right now is putting in the time with my kids. And so I work. I'm not working as much as I used to. I try to take my weekends off and just spend time with the family. And so while I would love to be able to go out and do a bunch of different Comic Cons, I kind of feel like right now it's like, you know, I want to spend those weekends with my kids, doing things with them, going on hikes and also enjoying some geeky stuff with them too. Like my son, he's 7, and he's into Super Mario Brothers, and he's into Pokemon, and he's into he hasn't really gotten into superhero stuff yet, but he's got his own action figure collection of Ninja Turtles and He-Man and awesome. You know, Lego. We love doing that, and my daughter's the same way. She's 5, and so or she's 4 and almost 5, but she's into all that kind of fun stuff too. So it's great being a dad and having those opportunities to share with my kids. And my son, he's also starting to draw, and he kind of really has got a spark going right now. And
that's exciting.
I took him I took him to the Toronto Fan Expo 2 weeks ago, and he had seen me doing some drawings. I was getting some commissions ready, and he kind of went off and spent a couple days like in secret drawing all these pictures. And he then sheepishly came and like asked, like, Dad, like, you think I could sell some of my artwork to earn some spending money at the convention? You know, it was his first convention. And so I said, yeah, sure. And I was just so blown away by
I think I saw that on your
I was going to say, I saw you post the photos. It was really cool. It's really neat.
He made more money than I did in my first ever con that I went to as a So
that's awesome.
He got a lot of spending money that weekend. And, but
now he's going to be hooked. You know, now you're in real big trouble now.
Well, we told him, we said, well, you can do this once a year. You know, like you're not going to do this at every convention, buddy. But but I really like that because it was the everybody who came by was really supportive of him and just very encouraging. And he's kind of a shy kid, so it kind of broke him out of his shell a little bit. And I think he saw that. I think he finally like kind of saw what I do, and he just sees me sitting in a basement like drawing all day. Like he doesn't. He's just starting to kind of realize like, oh, there's something else that's connected with this, and that kind of really revealed it to him. And so I'm just really happy, enjoying my life with my kids right now, and enjoying what I'm drawing, and hopefully very soon I'll get to show some of that stuff off. You know.
Well, we are incredibly excited, and I cannot thank you enough for being here tonight to celebrate this show, and we are just all just major fans of your work, and we can't wait to see what you have for us in the future. We just can't wait.
Yeah, and yeah, any suggestions for statues and stuff and ideas, you know, send them to Prime One, because I would say those guys do pay attention. I think they would love to do so, like you were saying. I think they would love to do some of that rarer kind of stuff, but it's like, will it sell? Will it not sell? I don't know. Like, you might have one shot to do a really cool Riddler, you know, and if it's not the right Riddler, you might not get those people in to buy it, you know.
Right.
But they love to listen. I think they're very they have their ear to those message boards. Like I said, I posted one comment on a message board one day, and they reached out to me. So like, they listen. So you know, be positive with them and let them know kind of what you guys are looking for, and you know, hopefully some of that stuff can come out, because I'm just like you guys. Like, I think if there's something cool that you really want in your collection, like, you want that in your collection.
Yeah.
And you know, I hope they'll be able to do some of that stuff, and either with me designing it or somebody else. They got so many excellent designers, like, you know, who work there. So yeah. So I would say stay positive and let them know how much you guys appreciate the work they do. Same with XM Studios, those guys as well.
Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these two awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also, please join us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.